It's alright. I didn't need my Ira. I was.
That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen with Zoom when everybody tries to teach their classes online for all the colleges. That's what California did. California just announced it. Yeah, but you have to stop the pandemic, though. You can't just let people keep going to it. Well, yeah, of course. People can jump in. Right. They're screwed. So, while we could talk about this for 3 hours, instead, I need to, there's a thing now in Discord called Craig, just so you know. Now, Karu, does everybody have to, like, tell it to record themselves, or how does that work? No.
It automatically records from download the whole thing, it'll have their Discord version. Okay. So if the Discord version is otherwise, I don't really use that. Yeah. That happens. Otherwise, you already have the Discord version.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, is everybody ready to go live? I'll let you continue your COVID-19 discussion for a minute. Okay, so I just transitioned us. If somebody wants to open up and make sure that our audio is coming through on the stream, that would be awesome. Matt usually does that, but anybody can if they'd like. Okay, so I'm going to ask everybody to talk. So I'm talking. Obviously, I'm coming through. How about Karu?
Hello.
And Nina?
Yep. Good.
And David?
Yeah, how am I coming through?
And Matt?
Hello.
So did you hear everyone? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Good.
Looks like levels are pretty decent too.
Excellent. Wow. You mean
Yeah,
for once something actually went correct? Wow. It's a miracle. 15 minutes later.
Yeah, we've had no issues this
No
time.
issues.
Absolutely
No
none.
issues. No. You mean when I tried to have a conversation with you 20 minutes ago and I couldn't hear you? Yeah, like that. Okay, so Welcome to DnDeBrief. I am Sam, and I am your DM, and I am here with my lovely players, David. Say hello.
Hey.
And Nina.
Hey.
And Karu.
Hello.
And Matt.
Good evening, everyone. Hello.
And we have a guest star tonight with Karu.
A
That
cat tail.
that is Earl.
Just the tail.
Just the tail. That is Earl's tail.
Just the tail. There he is.
Excellent. Hi, Earl. He's asking where his food is. So I'm going to have you introduce yourself. So what level is everyone? Are you level 8 or are you level 9?
9.
Level 9. Okay. Everybody's 9th level. I had you introduce. So I want to actually record a more sort of formal introduction just for those listening. You can understand what's going on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start. I'm going to change the format of how the podcasts are released because the podcasts are hard to edit in 3 or 4 hour blocks. It takes a really long time, and I'm really busy and I don't have time to do that in one fell swoop a lot. So basically, I've been talking to the Don't Split Podcast Network, and they said that most of the shows on their stream, on their podcast stream, are an hour long anyway. So basically what I'm going to do is we're going to still record 3 or 4 hour sessions for our games, but then I'm going to split those into 1 hour chunks. And what that means is rather than stopping every hour and making you all reintroduce yourself, I would like to get a fresh, clean recording of your name in real life and the name of your character and their class and race, but don't mention the level because I'm going to use it for the next several episodes. Okay?
Okay.
And so I'm also going to introduce myself again. That way we can have that, and then I can splice that and I can use it for all the future 1 hour recordings. So welcome to DnDeBrief. This is Sam. I am your DM at this wonderful endeavor, and I'm here with my players. Let me introduce Matthew.
Hello. My name is Matthew, Matt for short. I am playing Khonnos and Axley, a Sea Elf Warlock, the Great Old One.
And David.
I play Blaxley Chillingquest, a halfling bard.
And Nina.
Hello there. My name is Nina. Pronoun she, hers. And I play Emmeryn or Axley, who is a storm cleric.
And Karu.
Hi, my name is Hikaru, or just Karu works. I play Marcel Petit Diable Duran, who is a gender fluid Lutrinian sorcerer. Storm sorcerer.
All right, excellent. Okay, so now, who wants to do a recap? It's been a while. Do you remember what happened?
I don't remember exactly where we started the part of the session. I think we were still was that where we still were going through everything in the not Shadowfell?
Yeah, so I mean, I can do a quick recap because I actually edited the episode last week, so I know everything that happened. So you were in the Temple of Eyes and you were fighting Lerilac, and Axley had absconded with Reyla, Emmeryn's mom, and Axley was making his way back to the Curiosity with Reyla, and the other 3 of you were still fighting Lerilac, and you defeated him or something, and then at the start of the next session, which was the last session, you were trying to figure out how to destroy the dog statue, which did not come back to life, but had some very odd sort of, I guess, odd responses to your attacks, both spell and normal weapon attacks. Eventually, you destroyed it. It broke into 1,000 pieces. You each took a chunk of that, and then you escaped the temple and made your way back to the Curiosity. When you got back to the Curiosity, you found Axley and Reyla sitting in the Curiosity with Tadius the goat, eating all of your rations, and taking a loud snoring nap. And then Blaxley Chillingquest was there in the Curiosity saying, okay, let's go. I want to go see what this thing can do. You made your way back to out of Darkport and back into the Common Plateau. And actually, Axley's expert piloting of the Curiosity had it transport you directly into the cargo hold of your ship, the Tempest's Fortune. You went onto the deck and you saw several things. Number one, there is a galleon several hundred feet away from the ship, and you learn from your crew that a small contingent of blue-skinned, weird-looking creatures about the size of halflings came over and requested a parley and wanted to speak to the captain. You took Reyla to the island where she could rest, and you wanted to talk to Jubo and Stet, but they were out in hunting parties trying to make sure that all of the goblins that were there was a goblin incursion basically on the entire island right before you left to go to Darkport, and they're still hunting them down. And then you went back to the ship where Khonnos and Axley were resting because they were fatigued and needed a short rest. And when you get there, you notice there is a herd of sharks swimming near the ship in the water, and then you are challenged to a duel by another small contingent of blue-skinned goblins that came over to parley, and they challenge you to a duel, and you were going to designate Khonnos as the one who was going to duel, and at the end they said, no, we want to duel with the royal one. So we're offering boat for sword. That was the initial terms of the duel. And that's where we stopped. There was a lot of interaction in there in between where all of you were conversing and trying to figure out what actually is going on, what happened to Laralac, what are these dog things, what are the Hokka doing, and then when you got there and you saw the pirate ship, there was a lot of discussion about how to defeat the pirates that are on that ship. So that's the relatively quick recap. If I skipped anything, I apologize. If there's anything you can remember that you think I skipped, please let me know.
That was pretty much it. The only one we noticed, it was, well, we were only in Darkport for maybe a few hours, like 2 days had passed back here, so there's definitely like a difference of time between one plane and the other. Seems.
Yes, it seems like that. That's true. That did seem to be how it was. And but Emmeryn did not look aged, but everyone else did, including the Lutrinian, who
Didn't we recover that aged look when we came back?
You recovered most of it, yes. You recovered the sort of grayish, non-colorful portion of it, but you still felt aged. We'll put it that way. You lost the silver tips to your fur.
Right.
But
so we didn't look like we were like elderly, growing gray hairs, but still felt older.
Right. And you as Matt mentioned, you understand that the time somehow was different because you feel like you were only there for a few hours, and it seems like days had passed.
Yeah, we spoke to the Hokka, and the Hokka told us that it had been a couple days since we had been gone. They also were the ones that told us that like Sharkface was apparently known to be pretty honorable.
Right.
Which is why we're like considering honoring the duel in the first place.
Yeah, so I guess
duel with a pirate who will absolutely not kill us if he doesn't win.
I guess that's the question then. What have you decided to do? Do you want to talk about it a little bit more?
Well, I think most of the talking we did do was a bit kind of between sessions or during the session we didn't have last time. But yeah, they gave us a time frame, right? Like when they wanted the.
When you first arrived, they said they had wanted to speak to the captain, and so they were waiting for you all to get back. And then you kind of did a bunch of things on the ship, and then they they either saw you with a spyglass or they were just coming to check to see if you were there yet, and then you were there. So they basically, I think, said 24 hours or, something like they're awaiting your answer. And yeah.
Do we want the ship to make ready so that if we need to try to run away, we can do that without being stuck?
Yeah, I think we should have everything prepared as much as we can. Like whether we need to try to run away afterwards, fight our way out, be as prepared as possible.
I mean, in terms of fighting, we have the advantage that we have the whole Hokka fleet, and they are one ship for now. Though we have heard that Sharkface is part of or has a bigger fleet of pirate ships elsewhere. So it's not just about taking down his ship, which is why we were considering taking the duel, just because if we managed to defeat him. They did say that it was to the death, so he's prepared to die.
So
with
the
a stupid sword.
yeah, and I'll show, let me throw this up there for anyone watching the stream. Here, these are my sort of, this is a document called the Codicum Adversarius. It is the rules for dueling in this area of the world. Basically dueling, because all the islands are separate, and so it's hard to have a sort of quote unquote police force to do that. There have grown some sort of standard ways to resolve conflicts, and dueling is one that is accepted, especially out in the sort of non-highly populated areas. And so basically it's an accepted way to settle disputes. And there is a set of rules, and basically the two combatants in the duel, the two participants in the duel, they each pick a second. And the second is their representative who agrees on all the terms and negotiates the terms. They basically speak for the duelist in terms of how everything gets arranged and negotiated. Basically, the duel is 3 rounds. This is the typical sort of how it usually is run. This is the standard Codicum Adversarius, but everything is up for negotiation. So the standard is there's 3 rounds. The first 2 rounds are what's called to the blood, where the first participant to reduce their opponent to half of their maximum hit points wins the round. That's very, we're talking, this is total metagaming, right? These are just the way the rules work. Narratively, that's the point where the second would have to step in and declare the round over, and basically that's whoever they're representing is defeated for that round. The third round is to the sea, in which the duelists fight to the death, and what they have proposed. Let me see if I have that as well. Here is, so the mechanics of a duel, let me put that up there for the audience, uses dueling points. And so there's a lot of different ways you can use these dueling points. I'll leave that up there for a minute so that the audience can read that. If you actually choose to engage in the duel, that's the way that we'll do it. What they have proposed is the first phase, the first round of the duel, is on the upper deck of your ship. The second phase of the duel will be the upper deck of their ship, or on the beach if you want. And the third phase is the 2 ships next to each other with these sort of large gangplanks pushed out, and then you're dueling basically on those planks above the shark-infested waters. That's
different from what you had placed earlier.
Is it? What did I say earlier?
You had said 1 was on the deck of our ship, round 2 on the gangplank between our ships.
Oh.
And round 3 would take place in the water.
Oh, okay. Then yes, I did not remember that I had said that before. So yes, that's fine then. That's what they, because I wrote it after that session right away so that I would remember what I said, and then I wasn't looking at that just now. So there you go. So yes, yeah, so the gangplank thing, that's the same description. It's just I moved that to the 3rd round instead of the 2nd round.
Yeah, so second round is that, 3rd round is in the water.
Right.
But presumably without shark help. They're just watching.
Yeah, presumably those things would make a barrier so they can't attack you. Because the other rule is no one can engage other than the two opponents, right? Theoretically, that's the way the rule is supposed to work. So
Yeah, and our and we talked to the Hokka, and the Hokka said that this guy was pretty on the rules when it came to this kind of thing, and he probably has his honor at stake in terms of breaking the rules of a duel when
right.
everyone's watching him.
So right now on the table are those the phases. Two are to the blood and one is to the sea. One is on your ship, one's on the gangplanks, one in the water. And then, excuse me, and then the terms are they offered or they what they proposed at first through the goblins, although that this was not technically through the duelist's designated second. So this is just what they told you in the parlay. They want your sword if they win, and if you win, you get their ship. That was the but that has not been presented to you in contractual form or between the seconds.
Mm-hmm. So I think the first step is figuring out what we want from the duel and sending out our second to talk to Sharkface's second.
Also,
'Cause
just for the audience, these dueling rules are modified from the Seas of Vadari campaign setting supplement that was kickstarted by Tribality.com a few months ago and is now finished, and they'll be printing up pretty soon. But that is where part of those come from, and part of those are just what I put into it. So anyway, sorry. I just want to give credit where credit's due.
Marcel is absolutely in favor of, at the very least, having Khonnos be his second.
I'm willing to do that.
Okay.
Because the second does have to step in if the primary duelist falters or whatever.
So there was talk, just to remind you, before the second parlay came and told you they wanted to fight Marcel, there was talk of Axley going to the enemy ship and just throwing a bunch of bag of beans in there and planting them and and letting
It's
Why
them.
do we
still
want to
very
fight him
tempting.
fair and square?
Okay, so the reason we had to fight him fair and square was because of his larger armada. If we take out the ship and we're fairly certain, especially if we're given a day to rest and prepare our spells, we can utterly obliterate that ship. We might have some issues picking out like survivors that might try to swarm us, but the ship isn't really an issue. We have enough firepower because we're pretty much a group of casters, every single one of us, that we can rain enough hell to take them down. And we have a fleet of Hokka to help us
At
with
least
survivors.
just disable it. They can't follow us if we disable it.
It's true. Those sharks don't really need a ship to follow us.
But then the
And
issue is then we potentially run into more of them once we get out of here.
we will gain the enmity. If we don't kill Sharkface, he will follow us somehow. He is at least part shark after all.
So are you assuming that if you duel him and you win on the up and up, that suddenly he'll just go away and leave us to be, and we will be free to do whatever we want? I don't think that's likely.
Just for the audience, there's a picture of Sharkface. Nina, you were saying something? Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna disappear entirely, but the thing is, not even like their army following us. We're leaving the Hokka village entirely vulnerable to whatever comes. That's my issue with this, is that if we do anything, they're gonna come after the Hokka first. And this village is a sitting duck without us here.
Especially considering we're taking all their able-bodied people.
Taking a lot of people. So that's my issue. Even if Sharkface is still an issue, he's not an issue for anybody but the immediate path.
Well, how vulnerable are the Hokka? They're in a jungle on land, so it negates all of the sharks and the cannons from the ship. They would have to go on the land into the Hokka territory where the Hokkas have number and the advantage, and I don't think that they're going to want to risk risk that for what? What are they going to gain? They're going to just attack and try to intimidate the Hokka. That's not going to get them any objective. It's not going to get them us.
Revenge is the issue there. And also, we don't know how many.
We don't know how
there
big
could be an
their
entire
fleet is.
fleet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's hundreds upon hundreds of people against. We're taking all the able-bodied people, so it's just the elders really left.
People who aren't able to fight or defend themselves. That'll be a term I list. I'll say no matter what the outcome of this duel is, the Hokka are to be left alone because the pirates' beef is with us, not them.
We also have a temple on this island that has a giant dog creature.
That was my other suggestion. Buying us enough time before the duel to go deal with that giant dog. Because if things go sour and I die doing the duel, you will have one person less to deal with whatever's in that temple.
That's a fair point.
So maybe we should schedule the duel for like 2 days time so we have time to go to the temple, deal with that, and get a good night's rest before actually dueling him.
Make any other preparations we need.
Yeah, I would be okay with that.
Okay. If the absolute worst comes for Marcel, do we have any Vivify spell?
I don't think we have the diamonds for it.
Okay, that's something to.
I don't got jack in terms of.
Yeah, problem is Revivify has a pretty steep cost that we cannot cover. Yeah. So if Marcel goes down, that's it. You're down a crew member.
There's just a lot of trust in this plan. Trusting the other side to like honor the truce. If we're leaving the Hokka vulnerable again, if you want to go to the temple and just trust that for 2 days they're not going to be molested.
But the Hokka fleet is between the pirate ship and the island, so they're not gonna. They can't really risk attacking otherwise because they're at a disadvantage right now. We outnumber them badly.
Yeah.
Now, 2 days can give their fleet the time to get to us.
Yeah. I mean, when you have the advantage, press it.
Because, like, yeah, we have 2 options here. We either honor the duel, schedule it for 2 days' time, deal with the temple, and then do the duel and hope that, everything goes great. Or, I mean, my thing is, as long as we put the everything down, even if I lose, the only thing you're losing is the sword, which is not worth anything to you guys if I'm dead anyways. So there's not much to lose on our side, besides me, but...
I was gonna say, except an entire party member.
That's going to be another term I want to exact. Sword, and there's no sense in fighting to the death.
There's a problem there. Marcel's not gonna let go of the sword unless he's dead. It's an over my dead body kind of thing. So he's okay with the whole to the death part because if he loses, Marcel would rather die than give up the sword. So that's kind of, that's par for the course. You want the sword, you have to kill me first.
All right. I'm a little less okay with that myself, but I will respect your zealotry.
Marcel, when the first time Marcel asked about getting the sword back, he didn't really know the importance of it. And now that he does, it's do or nothing. Like, he's not letting go of that sword now. He's also very curious as to how Sharkface got it in the first place, because he's pretty sure that was not a duel. And why Sharkface wants a sword that does absolutely nothing for him, because he is not a trueborn.
Wasn't this the one he stole from you in the first place?
Not from me.
Well, from your former captain, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And because
this does kill Marcel, would that royalty to him?
No, I don't think that's how it works.
No,
it has to be blood.
Yeah,
it's a bloodline thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
The sword is not usable by anyone who does not possess the royal blood of that Lutrinian line.
Okay.
It's
So-
just a fancy sword.
Yeah.
So it's nothing but a trophy.
Yeah.
Right.
This may be more about
That's
honor than
mean-
materials then.
Like it's really curious because we stole a shit ton of things, including that magical submarine flying machine. And the one thing he wants back is the fucking sword
That he apparently can't use.
that he apparently can't use. So it's like, the fuck?
Yeah.
Plot twist: Sharkface is your long
I
lost
mean,
favorite.
there's always the possibility that he has no. There is a possibility that he has no idea that we are the ones that stole everything else, and he just assumes I got the sword because I gave him my name. But I don't know. Everything was taken at the same time, so if he
Right.
assumes I have the sword, then he probably assumes I'm part of the group that stole everything else off his hold. And yet, he only wants the sword. And is willing to bet his ship on it.
His life.
And his life.
Mhm.
Unless he's some kind of, I mean, we did kill Lerlac and he didn't really die,
Yeah.
so he may just come back as an undead shark face.
We've also established they're in cahoots with Lerlac, right? Because we saw the House of Adrian symbol on
Yeah.
their ship. Yep.
Yep.
So like,
The more we talk about this, the less I like it.
Yeah, which is why we need to get our butts to Cowport.
So
and that's the other thing. He
yeah.
dies, we win his ship. That does not necessarily mean we never see him again. We might just have undead shark face to face afterwards.
Would DM Sam do that? Oh.
Yes.
So here's the thing. The second parlay group of goblins is there right now. So you have to give them some sort of answer. Whether it's truthful or
Right.
not doesn't matter, but you have to tell them something so that they can go back to Sharkface. You at
Okay.
least have to tell them whether you accept the duel and who your second is if you accept the duel. If you don't accept the duel, then you have to tell them you don't accept the duel. Or you could say something like, I don't accept the duel unless Sharkface himself, I mean, like it's open. So you can, however you want to do that.
What if we tell the goblins, you're my second, and that we want to have tomorrow at sundown the 2 seconds meeting to set the parameters of the duel.
Okay.
That gives us all of tomorrow to deal with the temple and decide what we want to do for the duel.
Okay.
With the duel happening the next day after the seconds have talked.
I think that's a good tentative plan for the time being.
Okay.
So I'll step forward and go, I accept Khonnos is my second, and I want Khonnos and Sharkface's second to speak tomorrow at sunset about the duel's parameters.
The goblin who seems to be the one that is the most capable of communication says, because remember, 4 of them came up, 2 of them had claws for hands, crab claws, so they're down in the boat, and the other 2 climbed onto the deck. So there's 2 goblins there. One of them has been the one that's been talking to you, and he says, proof of sword. Make dance.
Why?
He curls his hands into tubes like this. He puts his fingers so that the fingers are meeting the thumb in a circle, and he puts 2 of them together and he looks through it, like through his eye, and then he points at the boat. Watch.
He just wants proof that I can actually use the sword. Do we want to let him know that I can use the sword?
he just said he wanted the sword.
Mhm.
He wants to know we actually have the sword. I can hold it up. You can still see it.
The goblin says, "Make dance."
What if I can't make it dance? What then?
How no right sword?
Can Sharkface make it dance? Have you seen Sharkface make it dance?
You have sword. How I see Sharkface.
Well, have you ever seen a dancing sword?
No, he kind of steps back.
Do you know what it does when it starts dancing?
Up in the air.
Uh-huh.
He's
You know
sort of
what a dancing sword does?
he's guessing, right? Everybody roll a perception check too, except for Marcel.
18.
That is 22.
15.
All three of you notice when Marcel takes the sword out of the sheath that the base where the blade meets the hilt is still has a little tinge of pinkish, purpley something on it. And when she holds the sword in, or when they hold their sword in their hand, there's a sort of glowy area around their neck. It's kind of pinkish, purpley.
Has that been there before?
You
The glow
haven't
around the sword?
you have not noticed it. Khonnos and Emmeryn might have noticed it during
Yeah, I
the
think
the
someone
fight
saw it,
with
yeah.
during the fight with Lerlac, but I don't think Axley was there anymore.
No, that was after Axley left.
And Emmeryn, you rolled a 22, is that what you said?
Yeah.
You notice when Marcel takes the sword out and the glow sort of appears, the goblins sort of their eyes get like bigger, and then they realize that they probably have a shocked look on their face, and you see them try to hide their shock real quick.
Interesting.
Well, I'll wave the sword in the air and kind of like look towards the other ship and kind of point the thing, but I am not making it dance.
Okay.
I'll look at the goblins and go, if he wants to see it dance, he'll have to let me let it dance during our duel.
They sort of chitter back and forth to each other for a second, and then the one who's been talking to you most of the time says, "Okay, tomorrow, seconds."
Mm-hmm.
And then they go and they start to go and climb down the rope ladder that was put down.
Put
So
the
they
sword away.
the glowing stops. They climb down and get to their they get to
I
their
turn to
boat.
the others. I was so tempted to let the geyser go on them. Just wash them off the ship.
Once the goblins sail away, I'll point out to Marcel, by the way, that thing's still glowing a little bit, and looks like you were as well. You feeling all right since we got back from Darkport?
I mean, besides, the whole aging thing, yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Glowing what color exactly?
Purple, pink kind of color.
Hmm.
The Lerlac color.
Not to put too fine a point on it.
I was suspicious.
I look at the gem on the pommel of the sword.
Mhm.
Does that still have that it's had like a cloudy thing on it?
Yeah, it's clear now. It's
Okay.
clear. It's like
Yeah,
a really nice clear diamond.
it's weird. Yeah, I'm sure it's nothing.
Did you use that sword to fight Laralac back in
Yes.
Darkport?
Well, technically not Laralac. I used it against the hound, but I think I had it go against Laralac. I can't recall exactly if
Mhm. I
if I
think
had it.
you first caused it to dance when you were fighting the dog when it was animated,
Yeah,
but
but
then I
then
think it went away, but you still kept the sword out.
I mean the sword was out, but I can't remember if I had it. No, because Laralac did get closer. I think I was attacking
Mhm.
Laralac with the sword too. So it's
Like you were.
Yeah, I think you took a swing at it too, and I'm with it.
Mhm.
I don't think I hit necessarily, but I did take a couple of swings at him. I can only do it 4 times before it returns to me, anyways. And at least the first time, maybe the second time was against the dog.
Mhm.
So
I'm worried maybe you got a little bit of Laralac on you.
I am still wearing the amulet that
Yeah.
gives me at least some measure of authority on those blue goblins.
And maybe it gives him some authority.
I mean, I haven't. It's not like I've done anything for him, nor would I. I mean, I absolutely tricked him into thinking I was. That was great.
Yeah,
It even got your mom safe.
except for Emmeryn for a moment was like, "What the hell?"
Seriously.
Come on, Em. I was just trying to save your mom. I had to get close to her.
I have the feeling that Axley doesn't like this at all, like any of this entire situation. He looks like he looks
What
like
gives
he
you
has
that
some second
impression?
thoughts about doing this duel and what the heck's with the sword and here's an amulet and yeah, this is I could tell this is not.
It sounds like we're perfectly in control of the situation.
Absolutely. Yep.
No, that actually is not thrilled at all.
Roll with the punches sometimes.
I mean, that is going to be interesting to see how Sharkface reacts if he thinks I'm one of Laralac's cronies. Because last time we met, we definitely didn't have that going on. And hey, we might be able to trick him as well. It'll be harder though. He's not as stupid as the goblins, presumably.
Yeah, you don't actually know.
I mean, he seemed when we saw him at when he went to talk to the dockmaster. He seemed a lot more eloquent than your average blue goblin that we've run into.
That's true.
He's at least got a couple more points of intelligence up there. Unless that's gone away since his face turned into a shark. I don't know what's going on there.
Because the last time we saw him, we only had like one crab claw, and that was it, right?
Well, he had an illusion up when he went to speak to us, but when he was on board the ship, yeah, he had a crab claw, and that's how I had seen him first when he attacked my old ship.
Okay.
And we know that disease, whatever, kind of progresses, though usually it's not shark related. It's crab related. Have you ever wondered why everything is just crabs? Like Lilac seems to have like a bunch of different creatures under his hold, but every single goblin and humanoid that's been under those like weird spells have been crabs. Like, does he have like a crab fetish or something?
I feel like you're nervous talking right now.
Me nervous? No. Wasn't it getting late?
It is getting to be late afternoon.
Dark.
Um,
Yeah, maybe we should just get some rest.
So around
So
that
let's
time,
disseminate word to the Hokka, at least that the plan is, if everything goes south, to be ready to launch and sail, to
Yeah.
follow our lead.
Yeah.
I don't think they won't follow our lead as long as Khonnos is aboard.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So right around that time, Blaxley Chillingquest, who is sitting on the railing of the deck, says,
Gets better and better.
why don't you just kill him with that one sword, that one that's in the curious thing that you keep talking
Why
about?
don't you kill him with that one sword?
I'm not touching it, it's yours, but I think you could kill him with it.
I'm just worried about what it's going to do to me afterwards or before.
Huh?
Do you
Well,
mean
yeah,
the
that's
one that?
reassuring.
Do you mean the one that? You mean the one that actually is around, or being in a
The one
bag
that
and
keep-
likes to follow us around when we try to get rid of it?
Yeah, that one.
That one.
You seem awfully interested in seeing me grab the sword. Why are you not willing to do it yourself?
I just want to see what would happen.
I don't.
Well, maybe you're smarter than I thought.
I was gonna say, do I get the sense that he knows what would happen?
You can roll me an insight check.
Seems like it. He has a vested interest in trying to make it happen.
22 again.
You think very definitely he knows what would happen.
Okay. We're gonna have chat later.
Well, if we're gonna go deal with what's going on in the temple tomorrow, maybe we should get some rest and figure out what we're gonna do for the duel tomorrow. It at least buys the Hokka and everyone else a day worth of preparation for whatever happens after the duel.
Okay. That sounds good to me.
So we all go to take a long rest.
Are you gonna oh, we just froze, I think. My computer's having a tough time tonight. Are you going to sleep on the ship or on the island, or what are you thinking?
I'm definitely sleeping on the ship with our valuables. And where is Emmeryn's mom hanging out?
She's on the island already.
She's in the
That's where
Hokka
I'm
village.
She is being protected under guard too, because we have not only this mess going on, but potentially Laralac and his minions trying to maybe locate her.
I don't think Laralac cares about her anymore.
He held her prisoner for a long period of time. I don't know if we can
Yeah,
let our
because
guard down.
he wanted Emmeryn, and he already got what he wanted from Emmeryn.
Also, I'll remind you that Khonnos has a book with a skin cover.
We got a couple books, didn't we, that we need to investigate?
Yeah, like about 7 or 8 of them.
Yeah,
As far as I'm concerned, I don't know.
I think most of the books you had decided to not worry about till you got to Calport to the library. But this one was the one on Laralac's pedestal.
Khonnos, would you mind if I looked at that while we're kind of resting?
Yeah, why don't we look at it together? I'm curious what's in here myself. Okay.
Axley, Marcel, what do you think about that?
I don't think I can help much with whatever's going on with the book.
What language is it in?
I don't know. We haven't even opened it.
No one's even touched it. He just scooped it up in the robes.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not touching it. Khonnos handle it.
Honestly,
I know my way around the business end of a book. I'm pretty good with languages, so I wouldn't mind taking a look.
For it.
honestly, I'd rather not be near the book when you guys deal with it, just in case the amulet has any adverse reactions to it.
All right. Well, Khonnos, you want to hang out with me on the ship, and we can
Sure.
pour over it?
Yeah, like meet in the go in like captain's quarters or a room with a table, and I'll set it down, and I'll just cast Mage Hand, and I'll use that to just flip the cover open, flip the pages, so nobody actually has to handle it ourselves.
Okay.
I think I'd like to camp out next to the Curiosity with our valuables in it, so that if stuff hits the fan, we can very quickly
Abandon ship.
just or defend. Yeah, whatever it takes.
So, but what that would require Marcel to be quite close to it, if they are close enough to the Curiosity to get into it if something goes bad.
Oh no, I just mean Khonnos and I being close to it, because I think everyone else is going on land, right? Isn't that what everyone said?
No, we'll stay on the ship.
Oh, okay.
I was
There's no
gonna take
point.
off before we go to bed because I'm gonna sleep on the island.
Oh, you are
Sure, you
guys.
don't want to
Oh,
bring
'cause
your
your
mom
mom.
to the ship? You think she's safer on the island?
She's safer on the island.
At this point, maybe. I don't know. We have a dog that's sleeping in the mud down in the temple. So I don't really know at this point, but she's there. She's probably asleep already, so might as well just leave her be.
Emmeryn left her mom with her own journal. Like Emmeryn gave her personal journal to her mom to read. So she's
Marcel sleeps better on a boat anyways, so he's gonna go pretend he goes to sleep and then fall asleep.
okay.
I'm not nervous. Totally not nervous.
So Marcel is in their cabin sleeping. And Emmeryn, Axley, and Khonnos are in the captain's cabin? Or next
Well,
to
I
the
want to be down in the
Curiosity?
hold with the Curiosity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Do it down there.
If you want to stop, hang out in the captain's cabin. Hopefully nothing will happen.
Okay, so you're beside the Curiosity. Explain how you're like unwrapping the book and all that stuff, and how far is it from you, and how are you doing this?
Well, I guess we can set up a little makeshift table, right? And candlelight or
pull like a crate or a barrel over. Like I said, just set the bundle that has the book down on that, and like I said, just cast Mage Hand, use that to just lift the wrapping off, and then open the cover of it.
Well, and I guess maybe Emmeryn, can you cast light? How long does that last? To give us a light source?
Cast a light cantrip. That's a while, I think. An hour.
It's an hour, yeah.
All right. Well, that'll be good for at least the beginnings of investigation.
Okay, so you open the book with Mage Hand, and as the book sort of opens, you see the first page, which is like, what's it called, a flyleaf or something. It's usually the thicker, the thicker page. No, it's kind of the thicker page that's connected to the cover, right? As you open the cover, that sort of pops up like it's gonna flow over, and as the book is opened, and then it kind of flops over, but you see that the edges of the sheet of paper of the book page is kind of writhing and moving, apparently of its own accord. And then the front page, now that you can see, has some writing on it. And so the question is, then how close do you get to it to see it? I'm not sure you could read anything on any page from 5 feet away.
Yeah, no. Before I get close, I want to look at it through the purple monocle.
Okay.
gonna cast a detect magic real quick just to see what
I
kind.
think you know the answer.
Yes.
What kind?
Yes.
What kind?
The every kind.
Good. Okay. That's
Just brilliant bright light.
Yeah, just
okay.
Don't look at it directly.
Stop that real quick. What actually see anything?
You see the book cover, but where the pages are, like if you're not looking through the monocle, where the pages are, you see the pages of a book, like a thick book. Where when you look through the monocle, there's emptiness where the pages are.
So I just see like the binding and an empty space.
Yep.
Hey, when I look through this thing, I don't see any pages. I just see the binding. If the pages are not real or they're.
I was gonna say, remind me what the monocle does.
I don't really know, other than it kind of showed me different views of things when we were in Laralak's lair.
So it remember when you went to Laralak's lab, there was no longer a large lens, but Axley looked around and he found a monocle-sized lens that's the same exact shape as the two lenses that you already have, but is the size of just slightly larger than an eye socket. And when he looked, and remember Khonnos was invisible to everyone except the bird, like the bird could find him and land on his shoulder, but Axley could see Khonnos, and that was it.
Interesting.
That was
Yeah.
And then he didn't use it really again. I mean,
I've looked at a couple other things.
yeah, the paper, you looked at the paper. The paper had some writing on it that you could see with the monocle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Robe of eyes let me see the same thing that Axley is seeing. It says it can see invisible creatures and objects and see into the ethereal plane.
So are you trying to? Okay, so
I'm not changing the view because I've already done that.
Yeah. It is a weird sensation. You do see the book cover. And depending on like which eye you're looking out of in the robe of eyes, because remember they're all different, right?
Yeah.
Some of them see a blank spot like what Axley is seeing, and some of them see actual pages writhing.
Okay, so I get a similar view.
So the pages aren't sitting still, so it makes it difficult to read. They're just
no. So you open the cover, and then there's the first page. So you open the cover. So here's a book, right? You open the cover. The first page went, and as it was turning, it sort of the edges started writhing and like moving on their own, just the edges. But the page that's here, the page that you would be reading, is flat.
Is there any writing on the cover, any title, or anything on the binding?
Yeah, the cover said the Book of Proofs, which was the same title of book that Emmeryn saw in her vision. But the book that she saw in her vision had a blue binding, a blue cover, and a blue binding that looked like leather. And this looks like some sort of skin, the covering of this
Have
book.
I ever heard about the Book of Proofs in any lore or arcana or anything?
You can roll. Yeah, you can roll an arcana.
Okay.
By the way, are you letting Blaxley look at this?
No.
Where is Blaxley?
Well,
I want to know where he is at all times.
That's the thing. So are you telling him to like stay up above on top deck, or
stay up above? Yeah.
You want him to, or you don't?
Be aware of where he is. I would not like him around if I can manipulate him to not be here. I don't know what he's off doing.
Probably you just have to entice him to go look at something that he might find interesting, right?
Okay.
So that he doesn't come and follow you. He would fall for that probably pretty easily if you tell him, but you got to tell me what you tell him to get him to not pay attention to you for a while.
I'm going to tell him that down on the beach, if you go all the way to the other side of the island, there's a magical sunset.
That's not a good idea. He's gonna get eaten by 2 goblins.
He totally wants to go see the magical sunset. I mean, he does. He asks if if you can have somebody in the crew like row him over.
Oh, you just have to follow the beach to stay on the sand.
Well, but he's on the boat right now, so he's got
row
to,
over to the island. Oh,
yeah, row over to the
Okay.
island.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'll
Are you going to tell those 2 crew members to try to stick with him, or are you going to have them come back to the boat?
No, have them come back.
Okay. Emmeryn, he just sent Blaxley over to the island where your mom is.
Yep. Yep. He's gonna get my journal.
Why does he want your journal? Does he know about the journal?
I have no idea, but he knows about my mom.
Anyway.
He was with us when you gave him the journal to your mom.
Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows about the journal.
So.
Fine.
Either way, so he's gone. He will not interrupt the book exploration. That's for sure.
Fine. That's.
I rolled a 18 for Arcana.
So the Book of Proofs. So the only thing that you've ever had knowledge of that had anything to do with sort of proofs is a book that supposedly if you write a statement in it, the book will, not a question, a statement, the book will write, after the words of your statement, the book will write the proof of that statement, either saying that it's true or false. It will write how it knows or what the proof is to prove to you that that statement is true or false.
So you write in the book a statement that you want
you write a statement, and the book itself will write a proof for you on however many pages it takes to prove to you either the veracity or the falsehood of that statement.
I'll explain that. That's what I've heard. Does that first page have any writing on it, or is it blank, the one that we've turned that's writing?
It says the Book of Proofs. That's all it says on it.
We should look at this. I'm gonna get close enough to read it.
I will too.
Not reading it.
And the closer you get, the more you see that the edges of the pages are writhing.
That's comforting.
It's like they have a life of their own. It's almost like if you stuck a live like earthworm on the edge of every page and it could move however it wanted. But it's multiple ones of them, so they're all trying to move separately. But it's not
like it.
It's not slimy or anything. It's just paper moving.
Like it.
Yeah, mage hand, just try to keep those
So the
keep
first
that still as much as I can.
Yeah, no matter what you do with the mage hand, whatever is not being touched directly by the mage hand is just writhing.
Well, do we want to test it? Is there anything we want to know? A proof that we want?
I want to look and see if there's anything written first.
Already in there, yeah.
We leaf through it.
Because it would be strange if it was just an empty book. Like, no, there was nothing in it, right? You would expect if it had that power, people would have written in it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Unless the magic of the book makes whatever you write disappear into the ribbing part.
Could. Yeah.
It'd be really helpful though if there were writing in it. There's 2 of them.
Excuse me. So, so are you? So you're trying to turn the page one page at a time.
Yeah, just
okay.
Follow and see what else.
So you turn the page, and the first page has a name in it. It says, find my
John is a dick.
Anthony was here. No, it says Pharcellus, Pharcellus. And the reason why you think that's a name, or you can tell it's a name, is it looks like it was scribbled by someone. But there's nothing else on the page.
Interesting.
Okay. Flip the next page.
That page has the name Herluf, Herluf, on it, and nothing else. Scribbled also, but in a obviously different handwriting.
Maybe those are the names of people that used the book previously, and it doesn't show you what they queried, but it just records who used that page of the book.
My theory at this point as well.
Always like, yeah, keep flipping till you find a blank.
Yeah.
There are 12 used pages. I just broke my pen. There are 12 used pages. And then the 13th page is blank. And as the mage hand turns the page,
Great. What's the name? What's the name on the 12th page? Is it Bartholomew H. Laralac III?
No, it's Erasmus.
Ah, okay. Are all the names different on all the pages? Like, there's no repeat names?
Yeah, all the names look different. The on the 13th page, as you flip the 12th page over, and it does this little writhing thing and it flops over, at the top, after you've opened that page fully, at the top it says, "What would you like evaluated?" And it flashes at the top of the page as if someone is writing it, but of course there's no hand or anything. They're writing it, and then it disappears, and then something else is written in a different language, but it's the same sentence. And it does that about 50 times in 50 different languages.
Okay. I'll take like a quill, if there's one nearby, and I'll just write in the book, Liralac is responsible for the sinking.
You go right to the ending, don't you? Spoilers.
After about 20 seconds, symbols start appearing on the page, and it fills up. It's very quickly sort of writes, and it fills up the first page, and the page turns automatically, and it starts filling up the back of that page. And it goes to the third page, and it just keeps writing symbols. And some of the symbols you recognize, they're like magical sigils and whatnot. Some of them are letters from other scripts, other languages. Some of them are mathematical equations with numbers, and it just keeps going. So the question is, how long are you going to watch it go?
I'm going to look through the module while it's doing that. Does it look any different?
No, you see blank. You see nothing. You don't see any pages or anything at all.
I'll give it maybe 3 or 4 pages worth, and I'll just use Mage Hand to close the book.
Okay.
If it doesn't stop by then.
It has not stopped by then.
Okay, and is it just like, since I can comprehend all languages, does it these symbols like is it just like a mix of like symbols and numbers and equations, or is it like actually making sense? It's writing.
You would have to study it for quite a while to see if it made sense.
Okay.
But it does, I mean, it doesn't look random. It's not, doesn't look like, to your sort of untrained, sort of trained eye, it doesn't look like it's just scribbling random stuff. It's actually has a train of a process that's going through.
Okay. So yeah, so by that time, I just Mage Hand to close it. I'm like, well, it writes on its own. Whether this is truthful or not, it's going to probably take some time to figure out.
So what was the exact sentence that you wrote? Laralac is responsible for the sinking?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure I write down exactly what you... All right, what now?
Do we want to do anything else with this?
Well, I think it's doing what you asked it to do. I think we have to wait. It probably doesn't come up with an answer really quickly.
Okay. Maybe then, yeah, maybe get some rest and check in on it in the morning.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
What's the plan for tomorrow? What are we doing tomorrow during the day before sunset?
We're gonna go to the temple and try to deal with the dog statue there, I think.
Isn't that dangerous? I mean, what if Marcel gets hurt and then has to still fight in the duel later?
The same day. I think just the seconds are talking and laying out guidelines, and then the duel will be the next day. So hopefully we'll have a moment.
Yeah, we'll have one more opportunity to rest and recover and prepare before that.
Luckily, we're all heroes and we recover all our hit points during the night.
Yep.
If only real life were like that. Imagine going to bed and everything is done the next day.
Wow. Can you make that happen, please? That would be great.
Even diseases, you just have to roll another con check and hope you roll high enough. Oh, it's gone. Yep. Just like that.
Yeah, wow. That would be awesome.
And if you didn't, then you always have a cleric who can just cast a lesser restoration on you, and you're good.
Well, why don't we head out before sunrise in the Curiosity so we can get out at night when no one can observe us to head over to the side of the island, because then we can protect all of our stuff and get there quick to be able to come back quick if we need to.
We can always use the cloaking device on the Curiosity, so we're actually not seen.
Rather loud.
It's yeah, let's go during the morning hours when it's really, really quiet.
The ship is really far away still.
Yeah, they're still going to hear it. I mean, they must have heard us coming in anyway, so honestly, I don't think it matters that much. But at least they won't know that we're like where we're going. Right. So, because we do know that they're spying on us, so going invisible before light sounds like a good idea. We're probably going to wake up every single Hokka and they're going to be like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, before we go to bed, I'm going to go look and see if Blaxley's back. Keep tabs on him.
Is he back on the boat, you mean?
Yeah, back on the boat.
Yeah, he's not back on the boat.
Did Em go to her mom the night before? Or did she stay on the ship?
We next day?
Not yet.
No, it's the night before.
Yeah.
Before I'm going to the island.
Okay, so M did go to the island after finishing up with the.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'll
the
let
re-
everyone know. Hey, just a note. Blaxley's not back yet.
And I'm guessing Emmeryn went with her mother.
That's what I think.
She's
So.
going back.
So we take the. Well, we'll have to go to the Hokka village first, then to pick up Emmeryn anyway, and hopefully Blaxley is there, and you can check up on your twin.
Do you want me to ask the Hokka to send a few people to look for him?
I mean, only if he's not at
Well,
the.
it's dark.
We're going to the island anyways, so if we don't find him, then you can ask someone from the village to keep an eye out.
Well, what mischief could be up to that we want to make sure he's not?
Yeah.
Is
How
there any
much?
way to locate him? Do you have anything? Can you see through his eyes or something? Is there some way to?
Oh yeah.
Not today. I can do it tomorrow.
Oh.
He already did Laralac.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were already on the next day.
No. It's still the night before.
Oh, then I'm
Um.
asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it first thing tomorrow if he hasn't turned up by then.
I was thinking that. Sorry, hold on. I'm getting a work text. Okay. Okay. I was thinking that. What was I thinking? I lost my train of thought. Oh, so it's right before. So Marcel was already asleep in their cabin, and everybody else was dealing with the book. So now that you're done with the book, now you're deciding, okay, we're going to take a long rest too. Axley, did you mean you should all go in the Curiosity now, or
No, I mean
wait till the morning?
I'll sleep in the Curiosity, but I'm talking about in the morning. We'll get everybody together and then depart in it.
Okay. And so, Emmeryn, you're going to go to the island tonight to go to the hut with your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Khonnos, what are you
Can
doing?
someone who can communicate long distances tell Emmeryn the plan?
I mean, you can tell her before she leaves.
Yeah,
That
tell
might be
Yeah.
her
difficult.
before she
Okay.
leaves.
Yeah, I'll be there, and then
I'll sleep.
I'll
I'll
know.
do my long. But before I do, at some point I want to try to communicate with Bolem because he's been rather quiet since we returned from Darkport. Check. Is this on? You in there?
You don't get a response.
Okay. Um, I'll do detect magic and see if I still pick up any.
The the trident is still magic, but you're not really getting the presence of Bolem. And you haven't since you were in Darkport.
Does it still have the piece of coral in it?
It does.
I'll just try to unsock it. And wait a minute, and then stick it back in again.
So when you unsocket the coral, roll me a strength check.
Okay. That's cocked.
Warranty void if removed.
Hope not.
Do not remove the tag from your pillow.
Natural 1. 6 total.
You can't get it out. It won't come out all the way. It's almost like it got fused more than it was previously. So if you want to try to still remove it, you'll have to actually spend some time with maybe a little sharp tool trying to work it through the.
Okay. I don't want to risk damage again. All right. I'll just kind of tuck it away for now and check in on it again in the morning.
Okay. Where's your crow?
Oh, yeah. Where? I mean, it was still when we came back from Norway. It was basically on sitting on my shoulder the whole time. Has it been like
Mhm.
flying around doing its own thing, or?
Well, so the rest of you don't know that Matt and I had a conversation about the crow sort of between sessions because he tried to communicate with the crow. Um, and the crow said that seagulls are kind of jerks, and he was trying to ask them about where they live and what's going on with this plateau and all that, and they gave him the cold shoulder. They didn't really want to talk to him. Um, so yeah, so he's sort of in the cargo hold, but he's just kind of hanging out, like sitting on some boxes. He's been very quiet. He's been very quiet.
Okay. Yeah. I'll try to communicate it with him. Just say it's welcome to stay in my cabin if it feels comfortable there.
He flies to your shoulder.
Okay. So I'm basically just sitting on my shoulder. That'll be a fun picture.
What are you doing with Otto?
Learning how to juggle. So Otto, yeah, I essentially had changed Otto into a pelican when I recast Find Familiar. So, um,
What?
yeah, I'll let Otto essentially is fly around outside for a bit and get used to having wings now.
So you're the bird whisperer. You have a crow and a seagull hanging
Yeah, I
out
guess.
around you. You
Hmm.
clean up this mess.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
so anytime Otto is a pelican and he sits anywhere, the crow tries to sit on his back.
Crows are actually pretty big, I will
Hmm.
point out.
Yeah,
Yeah. So are pelicans.
so are pelicans.
Pelicans are bigger.
Um, yeah, so they seem to be getting along.
Or there was a little indication earlier that they weren't, but that's good that they're getting used to each other.
Yeah, remember Otto freaked out at first, right?
Right, because he was worried about
He was worried about what you
uh,
broke up there.
he was basically worrying about being like abandoned or and I told him no, I'm not leaving you behind. This is just a new friend.
That's what Axley had to say to all of you when Blaxley showed up. I'm not leaving you behind. It's just a new friend. So,
So I have one question. Is it a
yes.
crow or a raven?
I think you
Well,
said it was a raven initially.
yeah, it's a raven. It when Khonnos spoke to it, it was referring to itself as a crow. So that's where that
Hmm.
weird trigger came into. It is a raven. It's as big as a raven, and it has raven characteristics.
Okay.
But it refers to itself as a crow. So who knows if it has a inferiority complex or what's going on there. So the question is, anything else you want to do this evening before you turn in and take your long rest?
And
Mm.
make sure there's like somebody on the crew that's going to be keeping an eye on the pirate ship. Make sure they don't try anything in the night.
Oh yeah, I mean they're like they put themselves on shifts so that there were always at least a quarter of the crew watching that ship because they didn't like the looks of it. They especially didn't like when the goblins came up to it.
I looked it up. Pelicans average around a foot and a half. Crows average around 2 feet.
That's pretty funny looking at.
I mean,
It's
not
an
crows,
inverted totem
ravens.
pole.
Uh-huh.
Ravens
Yeah.
are astonishingly big.
They
They're
are.
2 feet.
Yes.
2 feet. Yeah.
They're yes. from tip to
They're
tail. Yeah.
They're hunters.
Yeah. hmm
They're hunter birds. They're not your average songbird.
Yeah. They have a very large wingspan too.
Problem is most people are used to seeing crows and thinking ravens are the same,
hmm
but crows are a lot smaller.
Right. Yeah.
Earl agrees.
Earl agrees. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Even so, even with the size not being that different, anytime Otto is sitting or standing.
I mean, to be fair, ravens will sit on top of each other, so
hmm Yeah. So everybody goes to bed, right? After you make sure
yeah.
that you have a team of people being very vigilant about your uh, ship being protected and all that stuff. Emmeryn, is there anything particular that you want to say to your mom before? Are you going to tell her the plan or what's going on?
I was gonna say, is she awake when I get back?
She wakes up when you come into the room, yeah.
Great. Doing any better?
I don't like to sleep.
Makes sense. Is your memory still fuzzy? It's starting to come back, kind of.
A bit.
Question. Ready? You don't have to. I had a vision from Goras a while ago. And, well, I was you, but I had a book of proofs. And
That is what I
you
was
remember
trying to find.
you found it?
That's why I left. I didn't find it.
Didn't find it.
No.
Huh. Did you? Hold on. Did you ever make it to the library?
I was in the library of Therondimus, yes. But I never found the Book of Proofs.
Never found the book of proofs.
There was an earthquake, and it collapsed half of the library, and I had to leave. And as I was leaving, that's when Larilac got me. I always thought it was good luck that I didn't find it because I thought he would have captured me either way, and if I had found it and he captured me, then he would have it. So I thought it was lucky that I hadn't found it.
Can you describe the book that you were looking for?
It has a blue cover, and there are waves embossed on it, and it says proofs on the front in silver with 3 wiggly lines under it. I understand that's the symbol of Straben, but lots of people intermix the worship of Straben and Goros in the larger towns, so I wasn't worried about that.
Do you have any knowledge of a second book of proofs?
No, there's only one.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
The white axiom says there can only be one.
I won't press too much, but we're gonna head back out to explore some of the island and take care of some business. But we'll be back later in the day.
Okay.
Now we should probably get some rest.
Should I stay here or
I'm a
should I
bit.
go to your ship?
I would stay here for now. There's gonna be some activity on the ship just because we're getting ready to leave and everything, so it's gonna be noisy and crowded and loud, and it's probably a little bit quieter here. And the locals are nice.
Yes, they have been checking in on me quite often. They brought me lots of good food and a furry creature. I'm not sure why,
Yeah.
but
Do you have the furry creature?
he comes and goes. He has a spot that he comes
Like
in.
look all around the room for this thing.
There's like a little dog door kind of thing on the other side of the hut. You could tell it's a new construction, the little dog door flap.
That's amazing. Okay. Does it have a name?
I I didn't name it, but I feel comforted
Okay.
when it's around.
That's good. That's good. Right.
Um, did as you're walking out, she says, "Wait, you seemed to not know about the white axiom."
Don't. Is that something I should know
I feel like um, let's turn his volume down. I feel like you should, being an adherent of Goros.
about? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a new thing, and I really haven't had a whole lot of time to like study up and everything. And there's been a lot going on, and I've been helping Dad, and yeah, so it's been busy.
The white axiom is a belief by some of the acolytes right after the sinking who turned away from some of the old gods and started to worship Goros. They um, they combined some of the prophecies and they decided that the white axiom is the fullest representation of what belief in Goros can lead to. And the white axiom says that there is one final truth that can be told that will tell us why the sinking occurred. And some of the believers in Goros think that learning the truth and knowing the white axiom means that we can reverse the sinking. And uh, some of the higher ups, they actually believe now that the white axiom is not solvable. It's incomplete, and Goros can complete it, but for Goros to complete it, the common plateau would have to be destroyed.
Where'd you learn that?
I um, before I left, I don't want to tell you because I think it'll hurt you. Why don't we talk about it tomorrow?
It's fine. That's not going to keep me up at night.
I'm afraid telling you will make you seek it, and if you seek it, it'll be your demise, like it was mine.
I set out on my own, though. I have people to help.
I had people too, and they all died. I had a vision, and my vision I thought was Goros, and Goros led me to the truth, and I thought the truth was something that could save the world, and I was wrong. I learned that the white axiom is actually a tool of evil because it takes away free will, and without free will, we can't be the arbiters of our own destiny. And even though the world has been destroyed and the common plateau has been irreversibly changed, we can't change it back. We're not the ones who control such things, and when we try, it leads to disaster. That's what I learned, and I'm lucky to have survived, or maybe I'm unlucky.
Not unlucky. At least, even if you are considering yourself unlucky, I very lucky. I'm glad you're back. I just lean down and kiss her on the forehead, and I walk out.
I'm going wherever you go.
Wait, what?
I don't want to go back home. I want to go with you.
Talk about it later.
Very well.
Now, you're staying here.
For now.
Recovering for a moment. I'll let Dad know you're okay, though.
Okay.
Like, start to walk out the door.
She lays back down.
Walk out. That's a lot to process.
Uh-huh. When you walk out, Blaxley Chillingquest is standing next to the door. He very quickly makes as if he wasn't listening.
You're not very good at that.
You haven't seen me in my proper element. Back home, I'm really good. Just not good out here. It's too bright.
It's like night out, isn't it?
Yeah. But you're in the common plateau and he's from the dark plateau, so
Yep.
it's always bright.
See the sunset?
I think Axley lied to me. There wasn't no
Didn't
brilliant
see it?
sunset. I did find a
I
big
saw it
temple,
from
though.
here.
Have you seen the temple? It's
Okay.
over there. It's really neat. It's really old. There's a big chunk of coral in it.
Isn't that hours away?
Yep.
Yep. I don't even know what to do with you. And I walk away.
He follows.
Where are you going?
I'm following you. Aren't you going back to the ship?
Why? No. No, I'm
Oh.
going to bed.
Where's Axley at?
The ship.
How am I going to get back there? I don't know how.
Get some meat. Actually, don't do that. You're gonna get yourself killed. Just stay here.
All right, fine, fine. Where are you going?
Let's just go to bed, please.
All right, you want me to leave you alone? Fine, I get it. You humans are so easy to read. He stomps off the other direction.
What's so difficult yourself?
He says, la 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 la, I can't hear you.
That's really mature. Out of my hut. And I like put a pillow like over my head and just go to sleep.
Okay. So the night passes without any other events occurring. What are you doing in the morning?
Before I go to sleep,
Yes.
like right before,
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was supposed to tell my dad. Do I actually have a spell slot for this?
I don't know.
I can cast it. I can cast sending at a higher level, right?
Yeah, because you're going to take a long rest and get all your spell slots back anyway.
Yeah. So I cast sending,
Okay.
and I send a message to my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I
Now,
just say,
when you cast sending, how does it work? Can he converse with you, or he can just? Is it that 10-second message or something? How do you know if he gets the message or not? Is really what I'm asking.
Short message of 25 words or less.
Mm-hmm.
In a like manner immediately.
Okay. Now, when you send, excuse me, when you send, do you have to know where the person is?
No. Across any distance, even to other planes. Not the planes, but it doesn't say you have to know where they are.
Okay. What message are you sending him?
Feeling he's not where I think he is. I just send him, Dad, it's Emmeryn. Learned some new tricks, but we found Mom. She's okay. Hopefully be back soon. So.
And he does not get a chance to respond to that, is that?
Yes, he does.
20 words, right?
25 words or less.
25 words or less, okay. He says, he sounds like he is running or has been doing exercises or something. He's been doing activity, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, goblins and crabs everywhere. Had to leave the island. Everyone's going to Cowport. We're on a ship in the middle of a storm.
Oh my god.
And then the message is done.
Okay, awesome. That changes things.
Maybe.
Maybe one more spell slot left. I cast sending again. Send
Okay.
a message to Marcel's asleep, so Khonnos. He was in Trastenfin, right?
Your dad?
Yeah.
You have no. He was, yes, but you have no
He
idea where he's
was,
at
yeah.
now. Yeah.
Trastenfin is currently overrun by crabs and goblins. Majority of the citizens left boat in a storm. I don't know if there's anything we can do about it, but I figured I should tell someone.
Right. I hear the message and reply back. That's unsettling to hear. If we make it out past these pirates, we can try to look for them when we get again.
We didn't make it very far, did we? We only traveled a couple days before we got off.
Was it a couple? I thought it was like a week.
Yeah, remember you discovered that the maps were really wrong in terms of distance. They were very, very
So we
wrong.
really don't know.
Yeah, you traveled for a week and you hit a storm and you don't really know how far it pushed you off course.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find my note here about.
Didn't we get some information from the Hokka in terms of like
How far
Yeah,
away?
general?
Yeah. Yep.
They also knew where more or less Calport was in terms of
Mhm.
direction.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't know how exactly far we are, but we do know how to get there.
Yeah.
And you don't know when they left Trastenfen behind us. Because if it was recent and they're just now, like maybe
Right.
a day or two out.
Yep. So who has navigation skills?
I do. Yeah, Khonnos and I.
So your map was supposedly 1 hex is 3 miles. Roll me a survival check with double your proficiency for the navigation skills.
17.
I think I got a 17 as well.
Okay. The two of you together, looking at the maps, having spoken to the Hokka, now that you kind of have been able to settle for a little while, you've got some rest. You look at the maps in the morning, maybe. Now that Emmeryn has told you this fact about the people from Trastenfin coming, and you've talked to the Hokka, and now you're sort of trying to figure out, okay, we need to figure out our next steps. And you realize that even though those maps say that they are about 3 miles per hex, remember the very first time you traveled when you went down to the crab island with the king crab on it? Remember, it was really a lot farther than the map showed. And now, when you came over to the Hokka Island, it's really a lot farther than the map showed. And you estimate that instead of being 3 miles per hex on those maps, it is now about 24 miles per hex. It's a factor of 8 difference. And you don't know if the original maps were actually correct and they were 3 hexes, and if like things are moving apart or something, or if the maps are just because the maps are so unreliable and the navigation at first. I mean, it's only been the sinking for 50 years.
But
So,
you'd think they wouldn't get it that wrong in terms of how many days it took to travel somewhere.
correct. And remember when you got the mail from the Company of the Eastern Sun office, you were
Oh
told, oh yeah, delivering the mail. You were
yeah.
told that the last couple of envoys that had been sent out had not been heard from, and people were wondering what was happening. So perhaps there's a distance thing there that is
So maybe
off.
there is something happening with distance between islands. Like our world is like splitting apart.
Just I think it's just like drifting away from each other.
Yeah. Which is not something things on solid rock are supposed to do unless
Right.
everything's floating. But that's weird. I
Yeah.
can only hold my breath for like a minute, so we're not going to go look for the roots of the island.
Yeah.
Khonnos thinks a little bit about one of his brothers and his family that he had left back on Trast and Finn when we originally departed, and just is hoping that they're all right.
Yeah.
Are we kind of fast forwarding to the next day?
Yes. Yes, we're fast forwarding to the next day.
Yeah, I meet up with everybody and relay what I told Khonnos last night.
Yeah, we
Okay.
were looking at the maps.
I am going to also try to prepare my spells. I'm gonna keep sending, so should I send a message? It takes up a spell slot, but I kind of feel like we should know what's happening.
I mean, if we're going to deal with the temple, maybe you should wait till after the temple.
That's logical. Oh, my dad.
I mean, we have. Oh wait, weren't we gonna take? Okay, so we were gonna get together before dawn and take the curiosity inland. So can we assume we did that and met Emmeryn right outside the Hokka village instead? Because like we would have taken the curiosity from the ship before the sun rises.
Right.
Still invisible, but before the sun
Yep.
rises, and then go there. So Emmeryn doesn't have to make it back to the ship because we're going to the temple anyways.
Right.
And like going to the temple will take us 2 minutes, maybe 30 seconds if we want to get if we want to take the curiosity there.
Yeah.
And what? It'll
So
take us
before we
what?
go, let's check the book. Let's see if the writing is done.
Good idea. Yeah.
The what?
Oh god. Yep, we did it.
So we sort of figured out what that book does last night.
Oh,
If you write in it, it writes back, and takes a long time to do so.
cool.
So I
So
think
what
you asked it just a real stumper.
did you ask it a question and it like answers?
Well, the way it works apparently is if you write a statement in it, and then it will respond and write back essentially whether the statement is true or false. But it does not like to be concise. And I'll mage hand open the book and just kind of see what
What happened on the 13th page?
So the book is especially writhy. The pages are especially writhy. And there
Oh yeah, it's
are,
also a little creepy when you open it up.
yeah, there are 20 pages of proof written. And at the end, it says, this statement is false.
Ooh, okay.
What was the statement you gave it?
Erlak is responsible for the sinking.
Well, no, it wasn't Laralac. It was his boss. You didn't need 20 pages to know that.
Is any of the writing recognizable, like from a language? Do we know any of the proof writing?
You would have to spend quite a while trying to decipher everything that it has in it. You do recognize some of the symbols and some of the words and whatnot, but it's mostly like a mathematical proof. But the variables in it are sometimes defined, and then the variable's defined, and then it's 4 pages later when that portion of the proof has been resolved and it moves to the next portion. So it takes it would take
It looks like someone's notation for like a thesis, but not the final thesis, just like all their work.
right. Yeah. It
Okay.
literally
A lot of
is
work.
the proof of how it came to the conclusion that that statement is false. So if you spend time trying to decipher it, it's more like a code, right? You would have to spend a bunch of time deciphering it, and then you could probably translate it into a language that everyone would understand. But at the same time, you get the feeling it also might make you just go crazy.
That's for another time.
In other words, it's not a something where you feel like, because but you have comprehend languages, so Axley is pretty familiar with what languages look like and how languages are structured, and this definitely is sort of more of a mixture of mathematical things and language-based notations and something that looks almost like the Matrix, coming down. And it's all in a cohesive, like, it makes logical sense, you can tell, but in terms of actually decoding it and translating every bit, it would not be something as simple as a comprehend languages. It would take you quite a few hours of studying and
So it's like if one of us
decoding.
grabbed some astrophysics notebook and looked through someone
Right.
deciding if the galaxy
yeah.
is infinite or not.
Right.
Yeah, it's like we can read it. The question is, do we actually
Understand it.
understand all this stuff?
So
Right.
do you think then you have to write in the book a statement that is definitively provable, as it'll say whether it's only true or false, right? You only get a yes or a no, kind of true or false. In other words, if you put something in the book like the location of something is, it wouldn't give you the location, right? It just
Well,
will
it would
prove.
tell you it's true or false, or that it cannot be evaluated.
Yeah,
So
so,
the
so
only
it's not going to give you an abstract answer.
Right.
yeah.
But it will show you. So that's the thing, right? While it doesn't give you an abstract answer, it shows you the proof of how it knows that thing is true or false.
Uh-huh.
But it can only say true or false. So if you put a question, it's not going to answer the question. It's just going to.
Correct. That's
It
right.
only takes a statement and decides if it's true or false. Okay.
It'll ramble for a lot, and then it'll say in conclusion yes or in conclusion no.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as magical items go, that's a lot of work to put into knowing if a statement is
It's
true
only
or
true or
false.
false. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
on one
thorough.
hand, it's incredibly thorough, but on one hand, it's very limited.
Yeah. I wonder how long it actually took to get through the 20 pages. How long did you wait for it to fill it out?
They only waited for like 10 minutes, 10, 20 minutes.
And 10-20 minutes was like 4 pages?
Hmm.
That's a lot of time. All right. Well, interesting. I still think that was you could have at least asked like if Leralax
But why don't
lost.
you ask? You ask it. I think we all will get a question. Seems like everyone can use it once.
Is that how it works?
Well, each page has a different person's name written on it. So let's look at the page that you asked, Khonnos. Does it have your name on it?
Yeah, does the first page have my name on it?
It says Bolem.
Wait, what?
Bolem.
Huh.
God, all the curveballs.
Confused. I closed the book.
Been
Oh.
He's like, what? Slam the book closed.
Nope. Yeah, why don't we play around with this more later?
I wonder if I ask a question if it's just going to say Amari instead of my name.
Well, it was worth trying. Can you think of a good question? What do we need to know to prove?
I have questions.
Hmm.
I have a lot of questions.
What if we put the sinking is reversible?
Can I add to that?
Sure.
The white axiom can reverse the sinking. Or, conversely, the white axiom destroys the common plateau.
What is white axiom?
Wait, what? What's?
I relay the entire conversation I had with my mom the other night. So, just adds like.
I think actually Matt was away for much of that conversation.
I had to step away from it.
That means you'll have to explain it to him.
I did pick up the last bit about the white axiom.
Yeah. So stop for a second, and you can write yourself a few notes. I'm gonna go get some tea. So I'm gonna push us over to the we're on a break screen,
sure.
and then we can all take a 5-minute break, just a short 5 minutes, and then we'll be right back. Okay. Okay, we're back. We are on the break screen, so I'm gonna mute my mic. You probably should as well, unless you want to talk to each other.
And that's the vision you had originally, right?
So I had to do that. White axiom, which could reverse the sinking, but will also destroy the this was something like the Atlas tried to maintain, but she now thinks it's not a good thing, and it's actually very, very bad.
So, remember the reason why Marcel thinks you should destroy the dog is that if there are only 8 dogs, maybe destroying them all will make whoever you fight in the end much less powerful. That was the theory that they were saying.
Just as I think we're getting like close to the end and like grasping at something, it's like another layer is just added.
I'm going to push us back over to the main screen, out of the break screen, even though Karu's not quite back yet. So, Emmeryn, did you tell Khonnos?
I think I got the majority of the information relayed.
Yeah. She explained what she and her mother had talked about. There's still questions, but I've at least caught up on the conversation.
Did she tell you Blaxley was right outside the door when she left?
Oh god, yeah, that's right.
I got that. I was back for that part.
I don't know if he told us that. I know we're gonna look for him in the morning.
Yeah. He was with? No, he stormed off.
Yeah, he did a I'm gonna take my ball and go home.
Emmeryn kind of did the same thing, quite honestly.
She was just fed up. He was,
Yeah.
So how do we deal with this dog thing? What's the best way to vanquish it? Did we learn any lessons from the last one?
Well, we know that if we damage it while it's still coral, I get hurt.
It's true. It might not be true anymore. If I don't know what exactly your relationship with your patron is, but if he's not quite, I don't know.
I mean, I've got a piece of a larger entity. So what affects, one affects, presumably affects whatever's connected to it, which includes me. I mean, my plan was to go back and try to dispel magic on it, because that's kind of what started this whole thing in the first place, was when I did that, when the blue goblins were doing their gate ritual.
Yeah. A long time ago.
Yep.
This is session 18.
Yeah. Wow.
So you're going to do a dispel magic, you're thinking.
I'm going to try.
Like reacquaint myself with my character.
Yeah.
Oh, go for the ring.
I can also try polymorph on it.
Mm.
And if all else
That's a
fails,
fun.
if all else fails, I could try the gate spell, but I don't know if that will be like to try to draw the creature out from the sort of shell it's in. But I don't know if that'll be successful either.
Yeah.
If there are any like magic users among the Hokka that are still left, I would want like one of them to come with us just to essentially get a second opinion on this thing.
Karu must still be making tea. That sounded painful. Let's throw the break back up there. Part of the reason to do that is that the break screen doesn't usually work, so it's easy to see what's reading. So what did I hear your plan was? You're gonna go to the temple and you're taking Hokka with you, is that what you said? Okay, I threw us back to the main screen. So we were just talking about what... So Emmeryn told Khonnos about the conversation with her mom, and you're all planning to go to the temple. And my question was, are you going to write a sentence in the book of proofs before you go to the temple?
As much as I am interested in Emmeryn's question, I think it might be better to ask the more general, is the sinking undoable first? Because if we get a no for the white axiom, that's
Right.
just the white axiom.
Right, yeah.
But
That's
if
smart.
we get a
Start with
no
the
for it's undoable at all, then we know
big
that.
Right.
Well,
Right.
but I mean, can't we assume that it was done? It's got to be undoable, right? But
Can we?
we just don't know if we are capable of undoing it.
I mean, that's maybe we rephrase it in another way then. Can mortals undo the sundering or the sinking? Sorry, wrong universe. Because sure, like I don't even know if it was mortal hands that did the sinking, and if so, like if this was a godlike cataclysm, then there is no hope for us to undo it. But if this was some kind of magical thing that happened because someone decided to wiggly magic shit, then maybe it can be undone. So we put the statement in the book, a mortal can undo the sinking, and then see whether it's a true or false statement. Because honestly, I don't really think we can necessarily, but can any mortal at some point, given mortal limitations, undo it?
Right. I'd be okay with that question.
Should I ask it? I'm kind of curious to see what name shows up.
Yeah, do it.
All right, great. I'll do it. I'll write the phrase down.
Okay, so hold on one second. You are writing the phrase.
So the phrase is mortals can undo the sinking.
Undo or reverse?
What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, is it the same thing, really?
Kind of, sort of. I guess reverse would,
I was gonna say
indicate the whole like returning things as to how it was.
I mean, yeah, reverse, because we don't want to just stop it, because stopping it is still the disaster has happened. So we want to, we want it to be reversed, go back to the plane to go back to the way it was.
Okay, so mortals can reverse the sinking.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be it then.
Okay, and Marcel is writing it.
Yep.
So you notice how are you opening the book? Are you having Khonnos do mage hand again?
Yes.
Okay. You notice when you open the book, it looks empty again. But now there's 14 pages of just a name on the top of each page.
So if you wanted to go through everything, you'd have to do it immediately before closing the book again.
Right.
Good to know. I don't think I could have read that.
No. Nah.
I guess we just have to take the book's word for it. And honestly, I'm pretty sure it wasn't Laralac. It was Laralac's boss. So I'm in agreement with the book. So. And yeah, then I'll take a quill and write mortals can reverse the sinking on the 14th page.
Okay.
How many pages total are in the book?
Are you going to have the mage hand flip and count, or how are you?
General.
Well, not while Marcel's writing,
but
at some point check that, I guess.
But I mean, are you just sort of guesstimating just based on the thickness, or are you actually going to have mage hand turn?
Is there a way to tell by looking at it just roughly how?
It looks like it's about 100 pages, but You know, a minute ago it had like, 20 pages of scrawl on it, and now that's gone.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And remember, when Axley looks at it with his monocle, it's
Mm-hmm.
just a gap. There's nothing there.
No
He doesn't
pages.
even see pages.
Right.
No.
He sees the
So
binding.
the
and that's it.
pages are probably some part of the magic of the book. So it probably has as many pages as it needs.
Yeah.
Come back with an encyclopedia.
Despite that, it seems to keep a register of who's used it before, which is kind of curious.
I wonder if it uses up.
It must, because at some point it's going to be full, right? So it won't have any more pages.
I'm more curious for
I wonder
me
if
is the fact that there's only been that few number of people who have put something in the book.
Yeah. Or it just keeps track and it puts a note of the person so the person can't use it again.
That's my other question. How do you know we can't use it again just because no name is repeated?
I'm assuming it because there are no repeat names in it.
What if you can just ask again and it just only keeps the name once?
Guess we can try.
Did it start
I'm gonna-
writing after I finished my statement?
Yes.
Yeah. From the cargo hold, I'm going to get a burlap sack and some twine.
We're not in the cargo hold.
Oh, we're not? We brought the book with us?
You're in the.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
in
because we brought all our valuables
Wow.
inside the Curiosity.
Okay.
But we're in the Hokka Village. I mean, the Hokka Village might have a burlap sack.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Twine. Yeah.
Or you
And
can
some
just put the
water
book
skin.
inside.
Or put in one of the 2 bags of holding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some water skins or water gourds or whatever the Hokka use to hold water.
Yeah. All right, so let's take the Curiosity and go to the temple then.
What's the plan of attack? We're just going to walk in there and then what do we do? Just...
So, did you close the book, or are you leaving it open?
I think we closed it.
Well, it's writing, so you want to leave it open
Yeah.
so the writing continues.
It was
Well,
closed yesterday.
He
didn't it?
closed it when. Yeah, he closed it last time.
Yeah, and it kept
Oh.
writing after I closed it.
Okay.
So.
All right.
But just don't let it sit too long, or you might lose whatever it writes down.
I mean,
Is it
I
like
suspect
doing
it
a
probably waits until you open it again and read the statement before deleting everything. At least that's my guess. Yes. Kat.
Is it doing like another multi-page?
Oh
answer,
yeah,
or-
yeah. It's not like super fast. It's actually like a person writing. I mean, it's not super slow, but it's not super fast.
I just
We
watched
can-
this for a minute and go, do you think someone somewhere is just writing down all this on I'm just forcing this guy to do this insane cosmic math for us?
Wonder if Tadius has anything to say about this.
I'm sure he has
Yeah, that's a
plenty
good
to
question.
say. Is it useful? That's the question.
Mhm.
Where's Blaxley? Are we taking
we
him with
didn't-
us?
Did he show up? Anybody ever find him?
I mean, he came back last night and then threw a temper tantrum and stormed off.
That sounds like him.
Are you gonna look for him, or
Is he coming with us?
Do we have an option?
Probably
Apparently,
not.
he went to the temple yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I don't know that. Never mind. Yeah, let's. I don't know. He's either gonna show up the moment we all pile into the Curiosity, being like, "Yay, Curiosity!" or he's not gonna show up and we're gonna arrive at the temple and he's gonna be there somehow.
Is he more dangerous with us or not with us? Is the question.
Not with us, probably.
I mean, he hasn't actually done anything besides
Not yet.
just creep around and listen around corners. I look around a random corner.
I don't know. I don't exactly trust him with like the information that he has. Is the other thing.
No.
Like he knows quite a bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
And we don't know what he knows and what his intentions are.
Right.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we want to know where he is, so I'll take 5 minutes and change the view and try to find him with that.
I was not expecting
our
that.
fault.
Okay. Where are all of you right now?
Right outside the Hokka village.
But are you in the Curiosity, or are you?
I think it's a bit of a tight fit, so we're probably outside of the Curiosity.
Okay.
They probably came to get me, and we're just kind of discussing outside of the hut I slept in last night.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not gonna leave the Curiosity unattended if it's too far away.
No,
No.
probably within eye shot.
So Khonnos, you changed the view. I need you to roll percentage dice.
Fifth.
Was that what was that? 50?
15?
You keep cutting out every time you say a number.
Say it 3 times. Say it 3 times slowly.
There we go.
Okay. You see that he is looking down at a pillow, and sitting on the pillow is a sword with a skull motif where the blade meets the hilt, and the eyes on the skull are glowing a grayish purpley color.
Oh, he's playing with that sword again. Does it look like it? Can I see if he's inside the Curiosity?
Where is it? Yeah.
He is inside the Curiosity, and he knows that you are looking through his eyes, and he can now see what you see.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get back in the Curiosity.
I'll follow.
What are Marcel and Emmeryn doing?
Yeah, we'll follow.
So when you get to the Curiosity, he's now sitting next to the sword. And as you open the hatch, he says, "That's a really neat trick, Khonnos."
Yeah. What are you playing with there?
It wants me to touch it.
Don't.
I don't want to, but it's really enticing. I think Axley should touch it.
I don't think so. I don't trust it.
I know, but it won't be satisfied until one of us touches it.
Then it can get used to
What
being
does it want?
disappointed.
What do you know about it? What does it want?
I think it wants to be owned.
Do you know what for what purpose? It doesn't seem like it's a good one. It doesn't seem like it'll be good for whoever touches it.
I don't think so either, but somebody has to.
Why? Why does somebody have to?
Because otherwise it won't leave us alone.
Well, it's not going to leave us alone if you touch it.
But it says it will.
I don't believe it.
Yeah,
How's the magical sunset?
You lied. I didn't
What?
see the sunset.
I didn't laugh.
It wasn't
Oh, is it
magical.
Tuesday? It happens on Thursdays. I'm sorry.
Thursdays. What day is it?
It must not be Thursday.
I've never heard of that day.
To be fair, it's kind of hard to keep track of days with all the things we've done.
Of course.
Nailed it.
Well, you want to come kill a crazy coral dog?
Are you want to come touch the sword?
No.
Then why do you keep leaving it in here?
We don't.
think
It decides
yeah,
to get in here.
It
likes
goes
to
where it wants
follow
to go.
us.
We've dumped it outside and then it just reappears in here. It just seems to like the curiosity.
Didn't we learn that sword had a companion at some point?
Yeah.
A long time ago.
I know who has the companion.
What?
Oh.
Ooh.
Not
I didn't
me.
know it was a companion. I didn't know it was a companion sword. I just knew it followed us.
No, yeah, we found out. I don't remember. Oh, Thaddeus told us about the companion sword.
Just
Yeah.
told us
He
a
did?
Thaddeus,
lot.
Companion,
Thaddeus told
it was
us about.
created a forge of a place called Brackhill, and it has a companion blade called Celagon.
Oh. I don't remember that.
So who holds Celagon?
Blaxley says, it's not me. And he looks at Axley.
But this sword is Celagon?
No.
Which one?
I point to the one on my hip, the one with the knot handle.
I don't know. You'll have to use it to find out.
Use it to do what?
What do you do with swords?
Throw
Wear
them in
them.
the air. Make them dance.
Wear them.
Yeah.
Make them dance.
Down to fashion these days.
Put them on a pillow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not trained much
Idolize
in
them.
swords, but as far as I know, you just throw them in the air and they do their thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh god.
Hey, I've never used a sword before.
So, I think you've talked him away from touching the sword.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a good idea.
Are you going to go to the temple?
Yeah, we'll go to the
That's the
temple.
plan, right?
Okay. You taking Blaxley with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I situate myself in between him and the sword.
Are you taking the curiosity to the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Everyone's gonna fly it there.
You're flying it? Okay.
We'll land it like facing the temple, I guess.
Okay.
Khonnos, did you want to grab someone from the Hokka village?
Yeah, people who, like there are any spellcasters that would want to come along.
Do you think that bowl, the elemental bowl, could help us with the fight?
Yeah. If a fight breaks out, it summons a water element.
Yeah.
Be useful if trouble breaks out.
It's always good to have another target that's not us.
I have the bowl with me, so I could activate it before we go into the temple proper.
Yeah, because I think we're just gonna retrace our steps. So yeah, I'll see if there are any, Hokka who are knowledgeable of magic and ask.
There's a shaman.
Yeah, I'll ask them.
If they want to
Isn't he,
go with you.
Really old.
Yeah, the shaman is one of the elders.
I'll explain. We want your knowledge when we go back to the temple.
Sure. Anything you request, I will do.
Okay. Please come up.
Are we piling him into the curiosity as well? Because it was cramped beforehand.
Yeah, it's getting pretty full.
Good thing it's a short trip.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this or walk 3 hours through the jungle. I can put up with being cramped for a few minutes.
That's fine.
The shaman is absolutely fascinated. They
I
have
can sit in Emryn's lap.
I don't care as long as nobody touches the sword.
Are you
Who's gonna
telling?
give him the safety talk?
By the way, are you telling Reyla where you're going, Emmeryn?
Oh. What she
Not
said last night has got me a little nervous, so I'm just gonna. I told her we were doing stuff. We were taking care of business.
okay.
It's still like relatively early, so I'm kind of crossing my fingers that she's just still asleep.
Okay. All right. So you all pile into the curiosity and you fly it loudly, but invisibly to the to the
No one can see
to
us.
the
No one knows where we
to
are.
the
I mean, just a little bit, but it's
Airplane goes overhead.
to the temple, and you land, and everybody kind of piles out of the curiosity, and it looks just like it did when you last saw it.
How's the soil outside the temple?
It's not as wet. Remember, there were a whole bunch of like mud puddles and whatnot. Those are gone. It looks like there's grass regrowing now. It's a little
It's good
sandy
fertile
still.
soil.
Yeah, looks like it.
Okay, I'm gonna scoop it up and put some in the burlap sack and put it in my bag of holding.
Okay. The entrance to the temple is still exactly where it was, and the big hole in the wall is still exactly where it was.
Okay.
So it's just, if you want to just retrace your steps, you can probably do that pretty easily.
Yeah.
so.
Did we take the lens that was in the antechamber? We did.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
All right,
that's the
good.
one I messed with.
That means I don't have to worry about entering that antechamber with the amulet on.
Yeah.
Is Blaxley coming with us?
Yeah.
If not, we'll tell him to. Okay.
Yeah, he's coming.
And the shaman as well. I would say Khonnos maybe make sure the shaman stays at the very back.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Blaxley have a weapon?
I have my wits.
Dear God.
I hand him a dagger.
And if you're anything like me, those are twice as deadly than any sword.
I hand him my like crossbow and crossbow bolts because I never actually use those, but apparently I have them.
He takes
Yeah.
everything everybody hands him.
Yeah, I'll hand him a dagger. I have two.
Okay.
And you're in charge of keeping the shaman protected.
Oh. Okay. That sounds good.
Great.
When you enter the temple, it doesn't smell as bad. It smells fresher. You know, before it smelled kind of moldy and wet and almost like decay a little bit. It doesn't smell like that anymore.
I'll ask the shaman. Did any of the Hokka come back in here since the last time we were here?
No, you gave instructions to not approach the temple.
Okay. Thank you.
We've been guarding it, but not going in. We wanted to make sure no goblins got back in. They were all over.
Well, good job.
So,
let's,
yeah, go ahead.
down.
Emryn's not very happy about the goblin reference. They're
Mm.
all over the place. So
Well,
she's just forging ahead, like just straight.
remember when you left, they were like, you found a bunch of
Eggs.
incubation eggs and all that. Um, so you're going right down to the main chamber down there. Okay. You get to the place, that room where the that sort of 10-foot wide hallway that had the words of the spell, the chant in it. Those words are still there. They are still embossed into the wall. But they haven't, because remember that was the first time that you saw. Actually, let me open it up and I will tell you what it says, just to jog your memory here. Remember that there was it said down at the bottom, that's the first time you saw that it says, bring forth your watery souls and I will let you live again. Join me and I will give you power beyond your dreams. Shamasa has foretold it and it will be so, and that was signed by Laralac. That area was the first time that you saw that watery souls reference, and you got confirmation that Laralac, and that's when you sort of remembered, oh wait, didn't we have that name before? And that's when it all sort of came together. So this was the first time that you saw that. That name and that inscription is still there, along with all those numbers.
I'm gonna turn to Blaxley and say,
He says, okay. And the doors to that room are closed.
That's not the one that.
Which room?
To the room that had the big gate and the altar.
Oh, right, yeah, to move the braziers.
And we have to move the.
Right, yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so I go up to the first brazier and just push it
I'll go
back
to the
into
second
place.
one. I'll go to the second one.
Okay.
Push it.
So that opens up for you. And you can now get down to, remember there's a huge long passageway, and then it sort of turns, and then there's a set of double doors. And that leads into the room with where the dog coral altar was.
Okay.
And those doors are shut as well.
Did we close all these doors? We definitely closed the one up top. I remember that. I think we did just close everything just to make sure nothing came back out.
Is this the door that had all the multiple locking mechanisms on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Axley used the chime previously.
Yeah,
I think.
Do you still have that?
Yeah. Can we not get it open without it? Is it locked shut?
We might as well try it normally.
Open it.
Can I just because again, it's been so long since we've been here before. I don't remember if we did this the first time. I want to just look over the door on the mechanism and see if I can find like a way to open it, like a switch or something.
Yeah, the doors feel loose, actually. Like they're shut, but they feel like they're not very sturdy anymore.
Oh, I'll just try to pull them up and then
they open right up.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read to you the way the chamber looked before, and then I'm gonna tell you the differences. Okay. So the chamber before it's a large rectangular room. It's about 60 by 90 feet. So, like several meters, right? Multiple meters. There are 4 large braziers, 10 feet from each corner. At the time you were here last time, they were glowing with blue flames, and that was providing some light into the room. They are not lit now. And the braziers before were also providing some heat, and the room was extremely hot. The room is very cold now. There are pillars. There are 4 big, thick pillars in the room, and they are carved with, or they were carved with the likenesses of multiple types of creatures. The pillars seemed like the things carved out of them were made of mud. These were, crabs, octopi, turtles, seahorses, squids, whales, etc., etc. Now the only thing carved into them are crabs.
Again with the crabs.
Previously, when you would look at the creatures, you would see that they seem to take on a pained expression, or like you had the impression of a screaming when you would look at them. Now they are immobile when you look at them. You just see sort of crab faces and crab claws. There's also a large blue-purple coral altar sitting on 4 thick wooden stilts in the middle of the room. The stilts are protruding out of a large pool. Previously, it was steaming, bubbling mud. Now it looks like it is frozen water. The north, south, and west walls were also carved with the likenesses of multiple types of creatures, but these were terrestrial creatures: dogs, horses, minotaurs, humans, halflings, gnomes, foxes, etc. Now it's just sort of as if those have all been scraped smooth, those walls. Previously, the mud from the pillars and the walls was running onto the floor. There were just always constant seepage, forming sort of sludgy areas leading into and filling the boiling mud puddle in the middle. That's no longer happening. They're all frozen. And then, of course, you remember there was a giant bright blue gate that was also giving off heat. That's obviously gone now because Khonnos took that away the first time. And then the altar is there.
Okay.
So.
What about the bubbling mud puddle? Big mud pit. Is that still there?
It's frozen. It looks like frozen
And
water.
Water. So does it look like translucent-ish because it's frozen?
Yes.
Interesting.
I'll just poke it in a couple spots with my trident just to make sure, just to see how sturdy it looks.
It seems several inches thick, at least sturdy enough to walk on.
So the big question is, what do Khonnos and Marcel see when they look at the altar?
Or actually, if he's using the monocle.
Excuse me. Actually, are you going to use the monocle?
Yeah, absolutely. Since last time I saw the creature.
You see what looks, when you look through the monocle, it looks like a statue very similar to the dog statue that you saw in Lairlac's chamber.
Okay, I see another dog statue like the one in Lairlac's chamber.
Okay.
Do Khonnos and I see the same thing, or do we just see the altar? Okay.
Yep.
So it's not moving like last time, because last time it was chained, but
yes,
actually
last time
now it's
there was a Hokka there on it. It was a shape of a coral altar, and there was a Hokka on it. And one of you, I think Emmeryn, had tried to release the Hokka and tried to hit the chain that was chaining the Hokka, and it hit the coral instead, and it hurt Khonnos. It caused damage to Khonnos. And one of you, or several of you, I don't remember who saw it first, but after that, when you looked at the coral altar, it looked like a large 4-legged beast with lots of spines around its neck and along its back.
I think it was Khonnos first.
I definitely saw it, yeah.
And then I saw it when I put on the amulet that we took from the goblin, the blue goblin.
And it said to Khonnos, "Release me."
And now instead of that actual like live dog, it's just a statue of a dog.
Correct. Very
Yeah,
much
it's
like
just a big frozen dog statue. Job done. Let's go.
very much like
So
the
the
one that you saw in the Chamber of Eyes.
so
We
the
saw
actual
one of
altar
these.
isn't so the actual altar isn't there anymore. It's just this dog statue.
No, Emmeryn actually sees it as the coral altar still.
Oh, okay.
And if Axley takes away the monocle, he sees the coral altar. But you and Khonnos and Marcel see it as the dog statue.
Okay.
We've
But
seen
it
one
doesn't
of
look
these
like as much of a
statues.
threat.
Yeah, but we've seen one of these statues come to life. We have to destroy it.
I'll ask the shaman. Is there anything else you can tell us about this altar? How it what it's used for? Anything?
The shaman says normally this room has no altar. The altar's upstairs in the entrance. Down here is supposed to just be incubation chamber.
Okay.
Which is normally mud, right?
Right.
Right. There's
Hot
now
hot
frozen
mud,
over, so
boiling
that's another
mud.
problem.
Yeah.
I'm worried. This isn't normal.
What's
No,
causing the cold?
that's a good question. Does it feel cold enough for like water to turn to ice?
Yeah, it's pretty cold.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'm going to take a little bit of a risk because I know the last time this happened, I got dinged a little bit. I am going to carefully approach the altar and very cautiously just like reach out a hand and just try to put my hand on it and see if there's any reaction.
Nope.
Nothing. Okay. All right. I will focus on just looking at the creature inside of it and say, in Aquan, I release you, and I cast Dispel Magic.
Um,
Every time someone casts Dispel Magic, it's followed quickly
And-
by the DM looking up Dispel Magic. to
an
see what
angel
exactly.
an angel gets its wings. Is that what I thought that's what you were gonna say?
How does Dispel Magic work again?
I couldn't remember what kind of save it is.
I don't think
Oh, it's
It's
not
not
a
a save
it's
in
not
there.
a
It's
save.
just
It's
if
you make a check.
yeah. So I'm essentially casting this at 5th level. So if there's any 5th level spells on it or below, they are automatically dispelled. Charisma check if there are any actual spells on it to begin with.
There are spells on it.
Okay.
And they're more than level 5.
Just checking.
That's always the hard part, deciding what level your random incantation was.
I know. I knew this was going to happen too, so I should have had it written down. I knew it.
And for each spell that's higher, I have to make a separate roll. So I potentially have to roll more than once.
Oh, if there's more than one magic cast. I thought it only
Mm.
affected like one specific.
6th level.
Okay. Yeah, it says choose any creature, object, or magical effect in range. Any spell of 3rd level or lower on the target ends for each spell of 4th level or higher. Okay, so all right. $18. And the DC would have been 10 plus the spell level.
The stone of the statue. So, and now Emmeryn, when Khonnos touched what you were seeing as an altar previously, suddenly you saw it in its true form, which is the statue of the dog.
Mhm.
And when Khonnos casts Dispel Magic on it, the stone part, the stony facade, shall we call it, literally melts away, almost like it became fluidy viscous mud, and it just starts dripping away. And the creature it shakes. You know how a dog shakes? It starts at its face and it shakes all the way back until its tail ends up, flopping water all over. And the creature says to Khonnos in your brain, it says, "Now release my brothers." And it sort of decoalesces. It kind of turns into a mist almost, and it starts swirling, and it goes into your trident, where the coral piece is inserted into the crossbar.
Okay.
I thought we had to fight it.
Yeah.
I thought we did it bad.
What?
Wait, so if that did we just kill one of the other ones instead of, releasing it like you just did this one, since we just hacked one of these statues apart?
We're all just dumbfounded. I was so prepped for a fight. I was like, I'm gonna do this and this. No.
Well, the last one in Darkport wasn't killed, right? Didn't it turn to stone?
Yeah, and then we chopped it up to bits.
Smash it.
Oh, you chopped it up.
Yeah.
Oh.
We have the pieces. I don't have the pieces.
Just the look of oops on Khonnos' face right now.
Does anything?
It has brothers. It has more than one.
Okay. Does anything change in the room when this happens?
Yeah, the ice starts rapidly melting.
Let's go.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Wait, go?
Well, I want to at least get off the pedestal and then on the other side before the ice melts.
That's fair.
Well, that didn't go how I thought it would go.
No. Khonnos, what the fuck?
Oh, Khonnos, do you feel any different?
Do I feel any different? Do I get any other?
Do you feel like
vibes
you want
off
to
of
bone?
Do I get any? Do I feel different, or do I feel any different vibes coming off the trident?
You feel like you are connected to your patron again, and Bolem is there.
Oh, welcome back, friend.
I was waiting for your return. It took you long enough.
I'm sorry, we had a bit of a journey.
You know what would have shortened the journey? Casting Gate.
Did we just hear him talking to himself? We don't only hear one half of the conversation.
No, but you hear Bolem.
Oh.
You all hear Bolem. And in fact, the shaman is freaking out. The shaman doesn't have any idea what's going on. And is obviously scared. And is just looking sort of at Khonnos to try to get some sort of explanation.
It's all right. We've removed the presence from this temple. It should now be safe to be used again.
Emmeryn doesn't seem so sure.
Yeah.
There's still writing on the wall by Lerelek, or was that up above? That was in the end, right?
It was up there. There's some in here too, but that never got finished, remember?
Right. And the writing in here was the whole Shamasa Hexeat stuff.
Right. But also behind you, there's also, remember where you made the goblin carve into the wall, I will not cast whatever. Yeah. That's all still there too.
Yeah.
You might need to fix the walls a bit.
Right. I mean, tied it up a little bit, but it seems like if not, things will get back to normal in here.
At least we got rid of the fake altar dog thing.
Way too easy.
You don't hear two voices in your head now, do you, Khonnos? Just checking. It would be really bad if anyone had like weird voices in their head.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just thinking, boy, we could have just done this the first time we were here.
You were almost out and unconscious because of how hurt you were, and out of spells. So we couldn't have done this.
Right, but I'm saying like, if we had rested here.
Yeah, that's fair, but we were tired and exhausted and just wanted to get the fuck out.
True.
We also had 2 goblins, one of them unconscious and one of them absolutely watching our every move.
Right. Well, now that I can ask him, where did you, why was I not able to communicate with you until now? Once we went to Darkport.
I can't go to Darkport.
You think you could have mentioned that before we arrived?
I was hoping you would open the gate and we could bypass it. I can't go through the plateau's edge for some reason. All the gates closed, remember? All of the ladders. It sealed the green plateau as well, remember? This is what I was trying to tell Khonnos. Just gate us out of here. But perhaps maybe it wouldn't have worked. But I think it would have. We could have gone after the other 8 of them.
Well, there's now
Hey, one crazy
7.
demon dog at a time.
So hold on, what exactly happened to the demon dog? Did you just eat it, Bolem?
No, I put it back in its house.
Where's the house?
Well, that's a long story. I'm not quite sure. I just have a feeling. But it's not on this plateau. So
okay.
I sent it away.
What's the short version of the story?
Hold on. Didn't you say to begin with that we had to fight the dog?
Yes.
So
that's not what happened just now.
Yeah. So
I know. But I was wrong.
Great.
This is a different time than I thought.
What do you mean by different time?
I am eternal. I don't know time. And when Khonnos awakened me and bonded with me, I thought it was a different time. I didn't know it was this time. And I was reacting to the wrong timeline.
What were you expecting the first time? What were you expecting it to be?
I can't tell you.
Why not?
What's special about this time?
It will rip you out of this time.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, I don't want that to
happen.
The sinking not only affected the connections between plateaus, it affected the connections between time and the plateaus.
Yeah, that checks out.
Bolem, do you know anything about Axiom?
About what? Say that again. You broke up.
About a white axiom? Or the white axiom?
No.
Is he lying? I feel like he's lying.
It's hard to get a read on an basically inanimate.
That's fair. That's fair.
Coral, Peter Coral.
So, were we around when you tried to take the coral out of your? No, you were on your own.
Yeah.
I've done it a couple times.
Yeah, no, but
like the first time we were, I took it out and tried to put it on the altar upstairs, and nothing happened. The last time I tried, I could get it out. No, I was by myself.
Yeah, okay. Well, we've dealt with the dog, I guess. That leaves
Shark.
preparing for tonight's meeting with the seconds.
At least we have time.
The shaman reaches out his hand and he points. He looks, at first you think he's pointing at Khonnos, but then you realize he's not pointing at Khonnos. He's pointing at the trident. And the piece where the trident has the piece that comes out, that piece is now a different color. It's no longer looks like coral, it looks like gemstone, but it's shaped like coral. And it has a shimmering, it looks like there's like a shimmering like air bubbles or something inside of it, but they appear to be moving. And the shaman says, "You're completing the coral."
Oy.
And then we're stopping there.
Wait, I want to turn to Blaxley and say, "Welcome to our crazy family."
One of these days I will not nearly spit out my drink when I go to drink tea.
Oh my god.
Boy.
That was a lot of curveballs.
That was wild.
You're just making this crap up as you go.
There are some very specific pieces that I already know, but yeah, some of it is just out my ass right there.
That's the DM secret. You are always inventing villains on the go.
And you'll probably, if I do it well enough, you won't know which ones I planned and which ones I made up.
Oh, you're doing it pretty well.
You're doing a great job so far.
I contact my father. Oh yeah, your father has this other piece of information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're evacuating the whole island. And who knows where they're going?
Well, I have good news for Emmeryn. She still has all her spell slots.
You can have a long conversation. Which probably will raise more questions than it answers.
Probably.
Yep. You have more than one text message that you can send.
I think this session gave Matt a headache.
It's starting to.
Yeah.
I'm just amused that I managed to once again put off the duel.
I'm not sure you'll be so lucky next time.
I don't think so.
I'm just really curious to find out what name is going to be in the book that Marcel wrote the question on.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, my biggest realization in the weeks was yeah, Marcel isn't giving up the sword. They're too attached to it at this point. No. To the death seems perfectly fine for him because that's the only way he's letting go of the sword.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I can't help I'll admit I wasn't quite sure how Marcel's gender fluidity was gonna work because I myself am not gender fluid.
Mm-hmm.
But absolutely every time I thought of the duel, it was no, Marcel is a he now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very odd kind of thing. Sometimes it's she, sometimes it's they. It's mostly they, but for the duel, it was no, it's he. It's he now.
Well, it's confusing as shit to me.
The other thing I was thinking about writing in the book was, instead of what I did, was Marcel is Lutrinian royalty. That would have been
nice
interesting to
confirmation.
see what popped up.
the key there is if you believe how it answers you.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you have to actually study the proof and try to decode it. And if you study the proof and decode it, then it will presumably show you how it got its answer.
I
So,
suppose it's a good way for a book like that to like prove that it's actually doing what it says it does by
I mean,
giving you
we could
proof.
always run a test, right? We could ask it a fairly simple question that would have a proof that would be reasonably easy to solve.
I guess 2 and 2 is 4.
yeah. Yeah.
It just draws.
Yeah, 2 plus 2. So I think it's late enough that we'll not do a debrief this time. I think the debrief is you all sort of thinking about what the heck's going on and trying to suss it out and figure out, okay, which of these things is actually important and what do we have to actually deal with.
Every time I feel like I know where we're going.
You're going to Cowport. Since day one we knew that eventually.
Yeah. It's
Eventually.
just noodly
We're
right
gonna go
there.
another 8 sessions and still not be in Calport.
Session 48.
Yeah.
Get there.
Right. Right.
Are we still
What
on
are we
the same?
playing next?
Are we still on the same timetable that like you expected? How many sessions that we had left?
Nah, we blew that out of the water.
Yeah.
Well, because when I spoke to you all, I think pretty much everybody was in agreement that we didn't want to rush. We just want to let it play out.
Let it play out. Yeah.
And so I just said, okay, well, I'm good with that. Like, I have no problem with that. So we're just letting it play out. So.
And it's always interesting when a session happens that like one, no combat happened, but also like barely any rolls because it was mostly just RP and figuring shit out, and that seems to happen a lot with this group.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, I love that. Because, I mean, I play in games where it's all mechanical, and honestly, I like the role playing. I like the interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought we might have a fight though, but yeah, that didn't happen. There were a couple of times when there could have been a fight. And I wasn't like Matt had said, well, I could do this or I could do this or I could do this, and I thought, okay, well, depending on which one of those things that you do in this chamber, that's what's going to determine what happens, because it could have been that you could have fought the creature.
And then he went and released it.
I'll say Emmeryn was about to throw hands at Blaxley a couple of times.
Yes.
That might have been.
Yeah. Yeah, he's another mystery you got to figure out. So that's.
He's a fascinating character. I really like him as a character, but Emmeryn is
not. I like how we're also like gaining a number of NPC followers that we can't really get rid of.
We're basically just recruiting now as we go along.
Yeah. You have a pelican, a raven, an extra halfling, tribe of Hokka.
Yeah,
I mean,
Em's mom.
Yep, Emmeryn's mom.
Emmeryn's like the captain, and then we find out Khonnos is like the new leader of a tribe. And we find out Marcel is Eternian royalty, so I'm waiting for Axley to be just a god.
Well, that's the only thing that can do.
What's a god?
We'll
royalty?
see.
All right, well.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and head out of here. So I think I will go ahead and tell everyone on the stream, thank you for watching. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much for listening. We hope that you are enjoying what we do so much. Even though we are a low combat game, apparently, at least this time, I hope that it's at least a little bit interesting to everyone. And if you would like to support us, you can support us at patreon.com/rpgmusings. Or if you'd like to send us a question, comment, suggestion, or if you just have some questions like, what the the fuck? You can email us at dndebrief@gmail.com, and I might actually answer. I might answer you.
I think we're all going to email you that right now.
But disclaimer, I won't answer if you're my player. And if you would like to support another really awesome channel, you can support patreon.com/Midgardia. That is Karu's channel, and we play a bunch of games over there as well. So everyone, thank you very much, and everyone says goodbye and waves.
Bye.
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 All right, let's take us out of here. Transitioning to the outro song.